Right now, you are moving at 1,670 kilometers per hour. You don't feel it, you don't see it, but Earth is spinning incredibly fast. Now imagine this, for just 1 second it stops. Not slows down, not gradually eases to a halt, it stops instantly. Everything not bolted down keeps moving, and that's where the nightmare begins. The ground beneath your feet would freeze in place, but you wouldn't. Neither would the air, neither would the oceans. At the equator, the surface of Earth moves at over 460 meters per second. If the planet suddenly stopped, everything on it would continue moving east at that speed, faster than the speed of sound. People would be thrown sideways at supersonic velocity. Cars, trees, buildings, ripped from their foundations. The atmosphere would continue racing around the planet. Winds would instantly exceed 1,600 kilometers per hour, stronger than any hurricane in recorded history. The air itself would become a weapon. Cities would be flattened by walls of wind. Glass would shatter first, then steel would twist, then entire skyscrapers would shear and collapse. But the oceans would be worse. Water has mass, and mass has momentum. When Earth stops, the oceans don't politely settle, they surge. A global mega-tsunami would race eastward, hundreds of meters high. Coastlines would vanish beneath walls of water. Entire continents would be carved by unstoppable floods. And this would all happen within seconds. Why would this happen? Because of inertia. An object in motion stays in motion. Earth's rotation doesn't just spin the ground. It spins everything attached to it. You, the atmosphere, the oceans. When the surface halts, the motion doesn't magically disappear. That energy has to go somewhere, and it goes into destruction. The equator would suffer the worst. Closer to the poles, the rotational speed is lower, meaning the devastation would vary by latitude, but no place would be untouched. The energy stored in Earth's rotation is staggering, roughly 2.14 times 10 to the 29th joules. That's billions of times more energy than all nuclear weapons combined. Stopping it instantly would release unimaginable force into the crust, and the crust would not stay calm. Earthquakes would ripple across the planet. Tectonic plates would jolt violently. Fault lines would rupture simultaneously. Volcanoes could erupt as pressure redistributes beneath the surface. The crust itself would groan under sudden stress, but something even more subtle would change. The shape of the planet. Earth is not perfectly round. It bulges at the equator because of rotation. Centrifugal force pushes outward, removes the spin, and gravity pulls everything inward. Over time, that bulge would collapse. Oceans would slowly migrate toward the poles. Equatorial regions could become vast, shallow seas, while polar regions drown under rising waters. The geography of the planet would begin to reshape. But we're not done. Because after that 1 second, what happens next? If Earth resumed spinning at its original speed, the chaos would double. Another shockwave, another violent acceleration. Everything that survived the first halt would be jolted again. Infrastructure would collapse entirely. Satellites would be thrown off balance. Communication systems would fail. Power grids would disintegrate. But if Earth did not resume its spin, the consequences become even stranger. Days and nights would last 6 months. One side of the planet would bake under continuous sunlight. Temperatures would soar beyond survivable limits. Oceans on the sunlit side would evaporate rapidly. Storm systems of unimaginable size would form at the boundary between heat and cold. Meanwhile, the dark side would freeze. Temperatures would plunge far below anything humans have experienced. Atmospheric gases could begin to liquefy. Ice sheets would expand rapidly. Life would struggle to adapt. Agriculture would collapse. Food chains would fail. Mass extinction would follow. But even that isn't the final layer. Earth's magnetic field is influenced partly by its rotation. If the spin halted permanently, the geodynamics inside the core could destabilize. The magnetic field might weaken. Without that protective shield, solar radiation would intensify at the surface. Electronics would fail more easily. Radiation exposure would rise. Auroras would blaze across skies worldwide. Beautiful, but deadly. Over years, Earth would transform into a harsher, more chaotic world. Human civilization, as we know it, would likely not survive. All from 1 second. But here's something even more unsettling. Earth is actually slowing down, very slowly, due to tidal friction from the Moon. Each century, our days lengthen by about 1.8 milliseconds. Over billions of years, rotation changes. Not violently, not instantly, but gradually. The planet we stand on is not static. It is dynamic, delicate, balanced by motion, and that motion is everything. If it were interrupted, even briefly, the consequences would echo across oceans, skies, and continents. 1 second, that's all it would take. Not to destroy the planet, but to erase the world we know. And the most terrifying part, we move at 1,670 kilometers per hour right now, held safely in place only because physics remains consistent. As long as the spin continues, we never notice it. But if it ever stops, the aftermath would be cosmic, and we would never see it coming.